Okay, so in this video we're going to be talking about 3 really useful tips for jig strumming. So for this first tip and for all the other tips in this video, I'm going to assume that you know how to strum a basic jig strumming pattern, so this kind of thing here. So the first tip is something that I use quite a lot in sessions if we're wanting to have a kind of down moment, and I use it quite a lot with bands as well if we're arranging sets. So it's basically just strumming the exact same jig strumming pattern, but doing it on only the top 3 strings, so our G, our B, and our E string. So I'll basically normally still hit maybe the strong beat or R1, and then for probably maybe a bar or two, I'll just strum the top 3 strings. So instead of strumming like this, I'll strum like this. So this is something that I only really tend to do in a few different keys that have a kind of nice inverted pedal sound in their chord 1 of the key. So for instance, G, like we just covered, has a really nice high sort of inverted pedal sound off our normal G chord. Then we've got this D that I've covered on the channel before that I use a lot. Really nice inverted pedal. But I'll also use it in keys like B minor, because B minor has this kind of nice double B unison kind of thing going on down the bottom of the neck here. So with my normal B minor chord that I use, I find that it's really easy to swap between this kind of and this kind of full-on B minor sound. Okay, so tip 2 is to mix your jig strumming patterns together. And if you really kind of pay attention to maybe some of your favorite trad guitars, they're going to be doing this all the time, okay? So what I like to do quite a lot is, instead of just doing this standard kind of jig strumming pattern, I like to swap between that jig strumming pattern and a more sort of straight down up pattern. But I normally will use this down up pattern as almost like a lead back into a bar. So if I show you what I mean just now, you'll see I'm going to play the standard down up pattern, and then I'm going to swap it up a bit when we're coming back to the beginning of the kind of section we're doing. So mixing your jig strumming patterns together like that is going to do a couple different things. First off, it's going to stop you sort of burning your wrist out in a 10-minute set at a session where you're just doing down up the entire time. Okay, so that's the first thing. But the second thing is, sometimes it allows us to follow the kind of rhythm of the tune a bit more closely. So not every single jig is just going to be straight, you know, quavers or eighth notes. So sometimes we want to mix in these strokes where we can, you know, leave a little space, or to be honest, we can just, you know, kind of make it feel a little bit less full on the entire time than doing that kind of standard jig, you know, down up strumming pattern. So the last tip is going to be something that, if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll have heard me say in multiple videos, and you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but by far the easiest way to improve the tone of your strumming, just the overall sound of your strumming in general, not just for jigs, is to add in palm muting whilst you're strumming. Okay, so all we're doing when we're palm muting whilst we're strumming is we're taking this part of our hands here, and we're going to be hitting it into the bottom 3 strings as we strum. So instead of doing this, we're going to be doing this. And that sounds probably a little bit strange in context, but when you use that palm muting on your sort of emphasized strums, it gives your playing so much more punch, and it just improves the kind of dynamics of your playing so much. So I'll play a little very quick chord progression without palm muting, and then I'll just quickly swap into palm muting, and you'll hear the difference between the two. So as you can hear, adding in the palm muting makes a massive difference to the overall tone and sort of punch of your strumming. So I am just playing the exact same strumming pattern and rhythm between those two little chordal sections, but I'm just adding in palm mutes on certain strums that I want to emphasize. So if you want to have a more in-depth lesson on just the palm muting, I'll link a video up here that I've done before on the channel, which will teach you that a bit more in depth. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.